Could Marcus Peters be making a return to the Baltimore Ravens? We will explore that possibility here on this edition of Ravens Rundown by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here. Thanks for joining us. Before we get to that, it is Victory Monday. Ravens fans, we are now 9-3. The vibes are immaculate right now for your Baltimore Ravens heading into the bye week. Spam W in the comments section to celebrate that Ravens win, and we'll get started with today's show. The Raiders signed Marcus Peters in the offseason as the Ravens went a different direction, bringing in the likes of Rock Ya-Sin and Ronald Darby, and ultimately moved on. Goes to Las Vegas. He grew up a Raider fan, and it has been a dumpster fire of a season for the Raiders this year. Remember, they fired Josh McDaniels a couple weeks ago. Antonio Pierce took over as their head coach. Well, then in yesterday's game against the Kansas City Chiefs, Peters got benched, and he was seen about a mile away from the rest of his teammates at one point. And then what do you know? Less than 24 hours later, the Raiders decide to waive Marcus Peters. So he'll go through waivers. If he clears waivers, then he would become a free agent at that point. Now, more context of the situation. Vic Tafur, who covers the Raiders, put this tweet out earlier today saying, breaking, the Raiders have released cornerback Marcus Peters. He had an interception return for a touchdown in Week 8, but was benched last night. The move saves the team $1.5 million in incentives that Peters was on pace to earn. So in a nutshell, the Raiders are very well aware at 5-7 they are not making the postseason. They're in full-on tank mode. I mean, hell, they're playing Aiden O'Connell at quarterback. I mean, who's going to trust AOC, right? With that said, they waived him to save that money against the cap and the incentives and all that. That's what this is really all about, I think, at the end of the day. Unless there's more to it, we don't know. To me, this is a money situation. And you look at the money. He's got 1 year, $3 million contract. It's not a ton of cash. So as is, if the Ravens want to put in a waiver claim and pay Marcus Peters that money, they very well easily could do so. And remember, a lot of that money's already been paid out by the Las Vegas Raiders as is. So we're going to go over some numbers and tell you about Marcus Peters and compare him to the rest of the Baltimore Ravens in just a moment. But what do you guys think? Should Baltimore bring back Marcus Peters? It's our pinned comment today. What say you? Y for yes, N for no. Weigh in the comment section. Tell me what you think if the Ravens should bring back Marcus Peters or not. Today's show is sponsored by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. You can play along with us at prizepicks.com/CLNS. Real simple. Choose two or more categories. You get the choice of more or less. It's very easy to play along. You're talking receiving yards, touchdowns, completions, a number of things, fantasy points. I know the Ravens are on a bye this week, but that doesn't mean that we're not watching football this upcoming weekend. We're starting with Thursday Night Football. Geno Smith taking on the Cowboys, the Seahawks. I got him hitting more than 230.5 passing yards. A little college football action. Friday night, the Pac-12 championship game. Pac-12 about to die, RIP, but they're going out with a bang. I'm riding with Bo Nix to have more than 332.5 passing yards. I got him having more than 10.5 rushing yards. If all three of these hit, let's say I put $20 down, we're bringing home $100 on PrizePicks. And the Oregon Ducks, they win this, I think they're going to the college football playoff. So play along on PrizePicks with me at prizepicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. That's prizepicks.com/CLNS. So in case you need a little refresher on our old friend Marcus Peters, previously played with not just the Raiders and Ravens, but also with the Rams, and he started his career with the Kansas City Chiefs. He's had a very good career, three-time Pro Bowler, 2015, 2016, and most recently in 2019, and led the league in interceptions with 8 back in 2015. Not the same player that he once was a couple of years ago. You're not going to see the type of production he had. Bottom line for the Ravens, look, they don't need Marcus Peters. This is not something where the Ravens saw Marcus Peters available and said, we have to have him. We have to pick up the phone and get him right now. That's not the case. There was a point in the season where the Ravens were a little bit shorthanded at the cornerback spot. They had some injuries, but that time has come and gone. It's not the case right now. Marcus Peters' numbers, okay, 43 tackles, 1 interception, 5 pass breakups. This is not the answer I think you're necessarily looking for. This Ravens defense is playing so great right now. Now, if John Harbaugh says, we want to bring him back, I'm not going to sit here and argue with John Harbaugh. I think of it like, when your parents would tell you, don't argue with me, just trust me, I got this right. I'm not going to argue with Dad, okay? John, you've earned my trust at 9-3. You've obviously figured something out. If you want Marcus Peters, by all means, go grab him. But I'm not going to sit here and advocate and telling John and Eric, hey, you guys, you got to go get Marcus Peters. This is the difference this team is looking for. It's simply not the case. If they want him, by all means, go ahead. I'm not going to argue with you, Dad, but I don't think you need him. We're trying to get to 14,000 subscribers on the channel. Perfect way to celebrate last night's win by subscribing to Ravens Rundown by Chat Sports. Less than 300 away from that next milestone. For daily news and rumors, live shows, watch parties, Q&A mailbags, and more, subscribe now for free to Ravens Rundown. Help us reach that next milestone. We'd certainly appreciate it. YouTube.com/RavensTV for the latest happenings. Keep it plugged in right here to Ravens Rundown. Now, let's get to the truth of the matter when it comes to Marcus Peters. His production has been mediocre, to put it simply. And like I mentioned earlier, although we don't know exactly what was going on behind the scenes, there very well is a chance there might be some bad vibes, some bad juju of sorts with Marcus Peters, because the track record tells us that he has caused problems in the past, specifically early on in his career in Kansas City. So do you want to take that risk, take on that challenge of bringing that to your locker room? Because here's what you would be getting. Here's the numbers from PFF. His overall defensive grade, 68.8. Run defense grade, 50.7. Tackling grade of 30. Coverage grade 71.3. He can't tackle anybody. Right? That doesn't move the needle for me. Now, we talk about need and what the Ravens could be looking for. Here's the reality right now. The cornerback position is not one of those at the moment. It was earlier. That's been taken care of. The Ravens have 5 of the top 50 highest rated corners in the entire NFL right now, according to Pro Football Focus. Now, that includes Kyle Hamilton, when you factor in playing the nickelback, which we see from him. He's also accounted for in this. But nonetheless, that secondary is lethal right now. Those corners, these guys can fly. You look at these numbers here. Kyle Hamilton, 6th highest rated corner in the league at 82.3. Brandon Stevens, 71.4. Let's go Brandon, 27th in the league. Meanwhile, Ronald Darby, who we saw playing the majority of snaps at outside corner last night, 68.8, 37th in the league. Marlon Humphrey, 68.6, 39th in the league. Arthur Ballett, 66.6, 49th in the league. You might have some things you want to fix, might have some things you want to address on this team, but corner isn't that right now. The Ravens are in great shape. They look like the best team in the AFC. This is still their conference to lose right now, and I don't think that you're going to see Marcus Peters being the difference maker. Who is a player the Ravens should add during the bye week, though? If you had to make a move, if there was somebody you wanted to bring in right now, who would it be? Weigh in the comment section. Tell me what you think. We'll see you next time here on Ravens Rundown.